Hey guys, it's Kenz
and Shell.
Welcome back to the Effortless Podcast Season 3. We are here.
We are back.
We are back. Welcome back. Yeah, this is exciting. I'm happy to be back in the pod room.
I know. It's fun. I feel extra close to you this season.
Because we're sitting so close. So today, I feel like we should first talk about kind of what to expect for this season.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could do little summer recap.
Okay.
And then what is going on out there in the hall right now?
I don't know.
I can't tell if that's who that is. And then we'll go into our topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this season,
I feel like we're going to be more intentional this season, though.
yeah, we have we have a better layout of what each episode is going to be, and then we have actual guests who kind of coincide with different episodes, which is helpful.
And basically, I feel like it's kind of encompassing everything that we feel like makes, or that we've found to be helpful in making us a
best friend unit.
Yes, both, but both individually, things that you can implement individually as well as together, well-rounded.
Yes.
Well-rounded. How to have a well-rounded life. So that means multiple things. So that'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So better topics.
Yeah.
Better research with our topics.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like.
Yeah. More intentional.
Yeah.
That's can be the word for the season. Intentional.
Perfect.
Okay. Summer recap, real quick. Nothing crazy except for Greg's ruptured Achilles.
Yeah.
Which happened the day after my birthday. Of course, playing basketball as they do. Those middle-aged 30-year-old men who think they still got it.
I think middle-aged is a little bit later in life, but
or whatever, mid-30s.
There you go.
Full rupture. Went with the non-surgical route, but he's doing good. He's thriving in life.
Yeah, he's doing so good. And I literally told him yesterday.
What'd you tell him?
He was walking and I was like, wow, you're walking so normal. He really is. Yeah. And his one calf is not that much smaller than his other.
Honestly, I think
very much.
A lot of it is because I think it's a newer thing to do the instant weight bearing.
Mm-hmm.
So he never wasn't walking on it. I mean, he had the boot, but there was always.
No, I think that makes a huge difference.
Some sort of surrounding muscle working.
That's great.
You know?
Yeah.
So way to go, Greg. He's coming back alive now.
But I think if we're gonna something that I'll touch on later, but something that I feel like we're gonna talk a lot about this season is perspective. I feel like that is literally the key to anything.
Yeah,
but
I agree. Actually,
if we're gonna look back on Greg's injury and put it into perspective, it really brought you and Jet closer.
Oh my gosh, yeah, closer to his poop. That's sick. I thought you were going with that,
something really
Greg had a really good mind, which I do actually feel like his mental mindset about stuff like that is so good.
Greg's just a great guy.
Great mental.
I do truly believe that, but also, all jokes aside, he is just such a good person, but I do feel like he always has such a good perspective.
Yeah,
anytime if you or me are coming to him, we're like, oh my gosh, something this, he's like, you guys.
Yeah.
He just really puts us in check kind of, I feel like.
Sometimes it's annoying. But
I know. Sometimes you just want him to feel the way we feel, and he really just shuts that down.
Yeah. What a great person.
He's such a great guy.
But besides that, I feel like that was our main event of the summer.
I feel like you guys went on some fun trips and stuff.
No, we did. We had a fun summer, but it wasn't anything
crazy.
Nothing crazy happened.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like I didn't do anything this summer. Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Worked and.
I just worked. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a good summer.
That was good.
I also feel like my kids are all at ages where they were very enjoyable. They all
somewhat more independent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, okay, let's get into our topic. Enough of our very boring summer recap. We are talking about singleness today.
Yes.
And what it means to
single.
Be truly single and why you feel like that's important.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's important?
Yeah. So I did do some research on it because I was just kind of curious to see what research showed on it.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, I want to make sure that when I'm saying singleness, I'm talking about being truly single,
not even talking to anybody.
Yeah, because I feel like right now it's super easy to say like, oh yeah, I'm single. But like if you were to go like date, if I like met somebody and was like dating them, if there's somebody else they have to talk to and like cut something off with, like you're not single.
Right. Or even if you're like going on dates with somebody and you're like, yeah, I'm single, because it's like we're not, is it still normal? Is it still like being official? Is that a thing still? Or is that just a middle school thing?
I feel like there is like a fine line, because it's either like single where you're like, you legitimately have no sort of like emotional connection with anybody. You're not physically like hooking up with people. But then there's like, so that's like uber single, which that's me right now.
Yeah.
The most.
Mm-hmm.
But then I do feel like there's like also being single where you're like dating, but you're single. So like you're like
playing the field.
Well, not
keeping your up.
Playing the field.
But like
you go dirty way too quick. I mean, like, let's say
I don't mean it in a dirty way.
No, I know. But let's say like I would be considered obviously single, but then if I started to put myself out there, which I keep saying like, oh yeah, I'm ready, and then I never actually do anything. So I feel I am ready now, but I still
You're waiting for somebody to break into your apartment.
Exactly.
Who's the one?
The one to break into my apartment. Exactly. So
okay, back on track though.
Anyways, give me a heads up and I'll make sure JoJo doesn't attack you. But
right, if you're the one.
But because then I feel like there's also like the singleness where you're starting to date. Like, let's say I went on like 3 dates next week and they're all with different guys. Like, I feel like that's
single.
You're still single because you're just like meeting people.
Yeah,
it's not like you're
playing
like
the field.
Oh my gosh. And then there's like also like the society norm right now, I feel like, which it's like people are like, oh yeah, I'm single. But then if you asked somebody else in their life, they'd be like, no, we're like somewhat in a relationship. We're like, there's either like an emotional sort of relationship you're in, or there's like, you're just hooking up with somebody.
Yeah.
And I have like strong opinions on that because I have a personality where like, I could never just like hook up with someone and have zero feelings.
Yeah.
Like,
but
I
think that's ultimately pretty normal. People might like to say it's not, but I think there is more to it than just like
there is some sort of a like emotional connection.
Like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, I don't know.
I know. I feel like there are some though that's like, that's not like super abnormal. I feel like right now.
Yeah.
Like you could just like hook up with people and like not have an attachment.
Yeah. Just toot it and boot it.
Yeah. You are?
Toot it and
I knew you were going to start singing. I knew
Make
it.
It feel stupid.
Yeah.
Really brings back the college days songs. Not
not by actions.
But yeah, no, I agree with that though.
Yeah. And I'm not saying any of it is like right or wrong. There's no like judgment in that when I'm saying that. I'm just saying like, as I'm talking about this topic, like I'm talking from my perspective and like my person
and what you've like realized for yourself.
Yeah. Like I can't just like hook up with someone and have like zero emotion.
Right.
Like I'm that needy girl.
Tell me, babe.
But I also don't just, anyway, it doesn't matter. So also part of like society norms is that it's like normal to like be with someone. So like if you're not with someone for a period of time or you're not married by a certain age, which this is changing, I do believe. Like I feel like in a couple years or even like when our kids are our kids. Oh my gosh. When your kids.
Basically our kids.
I can't believe I said that. Your kids are our age. Like it's not going to be as weird or it's not going to be as the norm to have to be with somebody. Or, this late at this age in life.
Okay.
Like in your
like
30s.
It's not as, like it'll be less likely that everybody just like gets married in college and then, or finds somebody in college. There'll be more singleness across the board.
And I did find some research on that.
Let's hear your research.
That it's basically, which I feel like people are like, duh, that everybody knows that. But like the amount of people getting married in their 20s is just becoming less and less.
Yeah.
And people are now waiting longer. Like it said that it's like the highest percentage of people in their 40s have been married. That's their first marriage.
Honestly,
which is not a bad thing.
I feel like too, you like change so much between your which if you can like grow with your person, that's obviously like ideal. Or it's not like you can't meet somebody when you're young and it's good.
It doesn't work out.
But I do feel like in some ways there is probably some benefit in like living a little bit of life before you
get married.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Not speaking from experience.
but so I feel like that is kind of interesting, but then I feel like I have felt a little bit of that pressure being in like my early 30s and like I don't even have like a prospect of a boyfriend at the moment, which for me is okay. It has been good for me in the last couple of years, but I have felt like kind of awkward and like obviously you know this when if anybody asks me like, "Oh, are you dating?" Like I get so awkward. Like I'm like, "No, but what about you? Like how's your life?" Like I'm like I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about yourself.
I know, but especially dating, I just feel like I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to talk about it," because I do feel that kind of like judgment, even though they're not judging me.
I feel like if anything, everybody's like, pressure. How do you not have a boyfriend? Because you're like a 10 out of 10.
You're not biased.
5-star. A 5-star rating on the Yelp. But
on the Yelp, I was about to say that.
But I feel like because you could get pretty much anybody you wanted.
Well, thanks. It's very nice.
But you're really embracing the singleness.
Yes. It's all about perspective. So anyways, I felt like I just wanted to touch on that because it's like there is that like slight society pressure where it's like, what's wrong with them? Like why aren't they with somebody, or like why aren't they dating or whatever? Or it's like there is this stigma of there's like something wrong with you.
And I feel like obviously I think you'll touch on this later, but I do even think that like when you've been through some sort of like, it's not like you went from like a really good relationship that just didn't work out and now you're like moving on and trying to find a different person. I feel like it's probably even more important to have like full singleness when you've come from a traumatic relationship that was not healthy to begin with. To like really refine yourself and like figure out where your identity actually lies.
Yeah. Wow. Great segue.
Is that the next?
Yeah. So benefits from being single.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So I'm going to like list them and then we can like talk about them a little bit. Okay. But this is some research that I did from the American Psychological Association.
Wow, you're such a nurse.
I wanted to make sure that there was like legit stuff behind it. So I'm just going to list them off really quick. So benefits from being single: self-awareness, self-reliance, emotional resilience, sense of purpose, confidence, freedom, focus, prioritizing health, and prioritizing other relationships.
I feel like those are really good.
Yeah.
Are we going to circle back to all of them?
Yeah. Well, we can like touch. I feel like some of them are pretty like duh.
Yeah.
But like self-awareness. So this one was like huge for me. Like, what makes you happy? What are your values? And really separating yourself from literally anybody else.
And especially, I feel like in just speaking from your past relationship, I feel like it was all about what he wanted versus what you wanted.
Yeah.
And like even what you'd said like last season about like you didn't even know like what you liked, what you wanted, what made you happy, because it was always centered around their needs.
Right. Exactly. So I feel like that is huge. And like really thinking about like what are your values, like what's important to you, like what makes you you, I feel like is like a big thing. And even if you have any sort of relationship, like every relationship in your life is going to impact that. I think like whoever is closest to you, what's that saying? Like the people you're around or like you are who you hang with. Yes.
Or who you hang out with.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is so true because
so we are one.
So the podcast is done now. Just kidding. But I feel like that is so true. And so if you separate yourself from someone like romantically, then it is somewhat refreshing if you think of it that way.
Yeah.
That you kind of are like, well, what do I stand for? What do I value?
Yeah.
So that's good. Self-reliance. This one is hard because yes and no. It can be super empowering or it can be kind of like, holy cow. Because like you kind of just like, you don't have anybody to fall back on. So like,
like you literally are so independent. You have to be able to like do it all yourself.
Yeah. And I feel like I went through.
You're really independent.
I feel like I am.
Or you always have been, I feel like.
Even within a relationship for sure. But when you're in a relationship, even mine that like, as we've said so many times, was not the greatest. There's still that like in the back of my head, like I knew I wasn't like, I knew that he would eventually help me or like.
If you actually knew. That was the hope.
I think I'm sure he would have. Yeah.
Like in what sense?
Like, sorry, I guess in my head, I'm thinking like financially, that's like the
Okay.
first thing that comes into my head. Like, if anything were to happen, so like I was off work for a period of time, or
He
like,
would,
or
like,
I
come
don't know,
through.
like there was like he would pick up slack, like,
and that's questionable, but it's fine. We don't need to get into it.
but yeah, but like when you're single, it's like, oh dang, like that
it's
isn't
literally
even, like,
all on
a possibility.
you. Yeah.
Like it's like literally all you. Wait, and there's there's other ways than just financially, obviously. But I think,
and there's always OnlyFans. Like if it gets
honestly,
though,
really desperate. Honestly,
I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that.
So self-reliance. So I feel like it can be super empowering because you're like, yeah, like I'm
a badass bitch.
Yes.
Who's got it going on.
Like I can take care of myself. So I feel like if you have that like perspective, then it is super empowering.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Next, emotional resilience, because it helps you build coping skills, which let me tell you, working in the ER, coping skills is something that
like you realize
vast majority of our population lacks.
And like especially our age group / younger.
Yes.
Right? More so?
Yes.
Like that's an actual societal issue.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
Like you like see these like
young people come in and they like can't deal with.
Yeah, they have so much going on. You're just like, wow, they legitimately just don't have coping skills. And that's like and I think that has a lot to do with anxiety, depression, like so many things that it can lead to.
But we don't really like talk that much about that. Or like, no, I mean, by we,
like coping skills. And then that's a huge reason why people drink alcohol and why people get into drugs
cope in ways that
aren't healthy. So like being single, like you kind of have to rely on yourself for coping mechanisms.
Yeah, that's good.
And have like a really great best friend.
Or like a best friend. Multiple, are you saying friends?
Well,
best friends.
Because you have 2 daughters.
So. Oh my gosh.
They're my best.
They actually think that they forget sometimes that actually it's me and you that are best friends.
Mm-hmm. I might just start calling Nash my bestie. He's the top dog.
The homie. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so that is like a big one. And honestly, which obviously I had a steeper learning curve with my relationship coming out of it with coping skills. But I could see how that could be, it's hard to like develop your own coping skills. Like I understand that it's not like an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
But it's like so important.
And you're kind of forced to do that when you're single.
And if you like break up with somebody or you like a relationship doesn't work out and you just like jump into another one, like you never coped with that one.
Yeah.
So then it's like
you're going into the next one already like a step behind.
You're using that person to help cope, but you're never doing it. You never
it's not
your own.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
That's deep.
So that's interesting. Sense of purpose, which was again huge for me because I do feel like a lot of people put their purpose in things and put their identity into things that can be taken away. And when they are taken away,
you're like,
let me tell you,
shit.
That's when rock bottom happens.
Yeah.
And
there's only going up from rock bottom though.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And it's hard. Like that's also something that's hard to deal
rock
with.
Bottom.
What? Yes, that. And feeling like you've lost your identity.
Yeah. But that is wow, I can't talk. That is why it's so important, I think, for the singleness phase to like make sure you have it, because to just like put yourself in check, like what is my identity in, or like how much was I putting my identity into somebody else or something, and then like having to just like take a step back and really refocus, like where does my identity come from?
Right. And and if you're like jumping from relationship to relationships, like it's your identity is still in a person. It's just like kind of like rotating.
Yeah.
Which can be like harmful.
Right. And then like at some point something's going to blow up and you're like, I don't actually know who I am.
Right. Yeah.
So like if you go into a relationship like very sure and solid, knowing who you are, what your identity's in, then it's like the relationship is almost just like a complement to what you already are.
As it should be. Like I feel like two people should never like have their identity in each other, but it should like you should just like complement each other and like strengthen that.
Totally.
But it shouldn't be like
and it's like you know who you are so strongly that it's like I'm not letting this person
and
change my identity.
That is attractive.
That like, is. People like confidence, which is I think the next one.
It's the next one. Wow. Yeah, so you can gain confidence because exactly, you know who you are, you know what you stand for, you know like your purpose, or like even if you don't have like, because sometimes I'm like, I don't have like this super strong like feeling of like I 100% know this is my purpose. Like I feel like it's not like you have to be so sure. Yeah. But as long as you know that like somebody isn't your purpose or like
you're not doing things just because of that person.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And then obviously there's freedom that comes with being single and freedom not like to just play the field, but like, yes, you would say, but freedom as far as like literally nobody is expecting me to be somewhere or like well, sometimes I mean, yes, but like not like
you get to do what you want.
Yeah. So it's like if you're in a relationship, obviously you should respect that person's time or like let them know like kind of like yeah. So there's like freedom in that. Like I could like go to Hawaii next weekend, I guess, if I wanted to, or you know what I mean?
I'm gonna come,
like,
but I'm in a relationship.
Sucks to suck. I'm just kidding.
Just kidding. Love my relationship.
That was and then focus is the next one which means like it just like gives you time to focus on what you want, which is so true. Like all of
your goals,
the goals that you want to reach, like you literally can just focus on yourself. Except for I have a dog, so a lot of this, he
takes up a lot of focus. He should not be our identity.
I know. He's so cute though, but he takes a lot of my freedom and focus and awareness.
Time to clean his diarrhea.
I love him. And then the other ones are prioritizing health and prioritizing other relationships. So, it just gives you time to like do self things. So like, prioritize like your eating habits, your workout habits, your relationships. So like with your friends or family or just like, I mean, whatever those relationships are, it just gives you like the freedom to do that without any sort of input or
interruptions.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the other thing too, like all of these things is like, you're not like, you have to have time to like figure it out. Like a week, a month isn't really like adequate time to be like, okay, let me make sure all of these boxes are checked and like in a way that is solid.
Right. And having all of these and like, again, nobody's perfect at these. Like, it's not like this is like every person who's in a relationship, it has all this down or something. But having a solid foundation of these, or at least like being aware of them and understanding them, is only going to make a relationship with someone better.
Yeah. Like it's never going to harm your next relationship or like I'm taking too long to figure out myself. Like that probably actually saves you time. Otherwise, if you jump right into a relationship and then you're like, well, shoot, I don't actually know who I am still. That's going to cause issues and it won't work out anyways, or it won't be healthy.
Right.
You're going to be so healthy in your next relationship. Don't you think?
It may never come, so I might just be healthy for the rest of my life. But I also feel like this is all about perspective. So like everything we just said is coming from like a very positive perspective, but you could take those and like twist them and most of them, I feel like, and kind of look at them from kind of like a pessimistic view. So and it actually, I'll kind of like touch on that in a second. But I just feel like perspective is like huge in that when you're
and I feel like it's easy. Like you could be easily moping around like, I don't have a boyfriend. I just want a boyfriend so bad. And that would make all of those things not as strong.
Yeah.
But instead, you've got such a great perspective all the time.
I'm laughing because I feel like literally we went on a trip together recently, and in the car, I think I said like 4 or 5 times, I'm like,
I just want to be married.
I just want to be married.
But I don't think that's but that doesn't mean that you're not like doing those. I feel like you are aware.
Like, I do want that, but I'm not like,
weird or bad to like want that.
Yeah.
But you're also not like negative.
Yeah.
You're saying like, in a positive way.
I want to be married.
Exactly.
So that's
because you put the work in.
Yeah.
So now you're ready. She's ready for you, big, strong man.
I was like wondering what other adjective you can use. Okay, so the website that I was talking about said that single people compared to those who stay married showed that single people have a heightened sense of self-determination, and they are more likely to experience a sense of continued growth and development as a person.
Wow.
But I mean,
That's like a mix.
It's
It doesn't
such
mean that
a
just because you're
mix.
married, you just stop doing those things.
Exactly. And also, so I was like looking because I was like, I wonder if there's because I'm obviously looking at it from being single.
Mm-hmm.
But then I feel like if you were to do research as a married person and see like, well, what are the benefits of being married
Mm-hmm.
versus single, and you're going to get a whole new
Set of benefits. Basically, there's benefits to both. One is not better than the other.
Exactly. And one of the things actually said that like one situation is not better than the other. There's just benefits to each depending on your current situation and perspective.
Yeah. Which obviously, if you're in a healthy marriage, then you should be growing in all of those areas together. Mm-hmm. Right. And if you're single, then if your perspective is that of like, perfect, now it's time for me to like grow and become confident and like find my identity.
Yes, because I did see that if you're single for like a super long time, you
start declining.
Well, I'm on a decline. It's all about perception. So like it was saying like there's a fear you could develop. Like this is all very situational.
Right.
Fear of rejection or vulnerability. So like I have even said this to you, I know, which I haven't even been single for like, it's been like what, like 3 or 4 years. Like it's not like it's like 20 plus years or something. But you can develop like a fear of rejection or vulnerability, which would make sense because I feel like I've even said that to you. Like I'm like, oh, I feel like nervous to try to like get to know somebody else, like because you just haven't done it in so long. So I feel like that's so true. And then you can feel lonely, lower self-esteem because you don't put yourself out there, or whatever, heightened social anxiety or desensitization to romantic relationships.
Oh, shoot.
Which I feel like I felt all of these before being single. Which I feel like they're all
I don't think that's abnormal to feel. It's just a matter of like moving past that and being like, no, this is not true.
Yes.
I'm not lonely. I have a lot of people in my life. What else? My self-esteem. I'm feeling great. He just hasn't found me yet.
Right.
You know?
He hasn't broken in. So anyways, I feel like I wanted to be kind of like the devil's advocate too, because it's not like singleness is like, oh my gosh, so great. You're so
or it's not like you're like, oh my gosh, I just love being single because I'm just like, do with me. Like, obviously there are pros, but at the end of the day, obviously like everybody wants to be in a healthy relationship. Yeah. And which is great, but it's not all about like being in a relationship or just understanding that like being single is okay. Like I feel like people panic at the thought of like, I'm not dating anybody and I'm in my 30s or whatever.
It's like that social pressure.
But it's like, it's fine. Like, just do you for a little bit. And
this is like if you find yourself being single, like if you're in a relationship, it's not like get out and be single so that you
ditch the relationship for a hot second so you can figure these things out.
Right. It's just like if you're in that phase of life or you find yourself in that phase of life, like there's a lot of benefits that you can get from it if you have the right outlook on it. And then your next relationship
will be a lot healthier.
Will be so great.
And it's going to be so great. Can't wait for your next relationship.
So that's all I got, you know.
I feel like that's really good though. And I think it is good, especially this day and age, to like, especially with even all the like dating websites and stuff, which whatever, I'm not like pro or anti dating website. I feel like it's like such the norm that whatever. But also I think that makes it even easier to always have somebody if you want somebody to like just go on a date with or like talk to, when really it's like sometimes it's like, well, are you in a place where you actually should be doing that? Right. I'm not saying people aren't, but like, it's okay to be single and to like embrace that phase of life and like actually make it worthwhile. Yes. You know?
And something too that I actually didn't say that I wanted to say is that something that I've noticed, I have quite a few single friends at work and quite a few of them are on like the dating app and stuff. And it's like so intriguing and we talk about it all the time and it's like kind of fun, honestly, to like chat with them about it. And there's such a large portion of people who are single and don't take advantage of the singleness in a positive way. And there's a lot of like untreated traumas in their life and like stuff that
needs dealt with
to make a relationship like healthy and like so enjoyable. And I think that it's really hard to work through traumas, like for sure. But in the long run, obviously would have a lot of
Well, and I think people do have the misconception that like finding somebody else is just going to like clear off the trauma from the last relationship, when really it just actually adds probably more issues that will either come up later or just like undealt stuff that.
Right. And there's like really good people in the world that can help you. And like there are relationships, but it's like, if you figure out, like we said earlier, like who you are as a person first, it's just gonna, and it's not like you have to have everything figured out.
Like nobody does.
Right. It's just gonna like only help that relationship.
Yeah. I feel like that's really good. Or I feel like I feel like that's an important topic that doesn't necessarily get talked about that often. And I think that's a good perspective. It's all about perspective. So,
which everything is.
Everything can be made positive if you choose to.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. If like this season, we're really like focusing on like how do we like bring positivity to like every topic or like every thing that we talk about, that even if it's like a heavier topic, like there's always the bright side.
Yeah. There's always something that you can look at.
Yeah.
Do you have any last thoughts on singleness as being a married woman for
a solid,
how many years?
I think 11.
Yeah, wow, that's so weird.
11 or 12? 11, I think.
A long time.
No, I just think that I feel like I shouldn't add anything because I'll just start rambling. So I feel like we hit the main points.
Great.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us on episode 1 of season 3 of the Effortless Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Effortless Podcast wherever you listen, and find us on Instagram at Kenz and Shell. See you next week.